about that battle. If they can win it and then have a decent enough end game, they should be in that top 5.
Looking at the top 10 as well, just to see. Thomas was looking fairly comfortable in the top 10 earlier. Now he's on the precipice of falling out of it. We do not want the curse of Thomas coming one place short of making it to the next stage to happen today, Levin. Sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
Why on earth would you even speak that into existence right now, Frankie? I don't like these bad vibes. That's real bad energy from you, Frankie.
I'm sorry, we've just got so many Danish players already qualified, okay?
We gotta be careful with how we use our tongue right now. We can't be talking about Thomas coming one placement off. That would be a nightmare for all of us. Of course, we saw it happen in Major 1, right? He didn't qualify through to the major finals and then barely missed out on the Globals qualification last major. I wanna see them secure this last game. Let's all, you know, cross our fingers right now and hope they can go through.
Yeah, they have what it takes. I mean, this is a team that we know they can make it happen in endgame. It's been a little bit disjointed at times today as well. We haven't seen the best of what we can expect from this team. I'm sure they'll work on it, but of course they have to get to those major finals. And they have one more game to do it. I think if there's a team in the lobby right now that I expect to have a really solid game, it's these guys. They have great experience. They have Thomas HD on the team as well, who knows how to make it happen in these moments. So I'm not too worried, maybe less worried than you, Frankie.
It's just small details, and hopefully if they can qualify through to the Major 3 finals in this game, then we'll see them iron those out. This is it, though, for Group 1, guys. Some of these players, their season in Chapter 6 ends after this game, and no one wants it to be them. Let's head to the battle bus for game number 5 with Taco and Takata.
Thank you, Frankie. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a bit nervous. The top 10 is looking almost like Group 1 already concluded. I mean, the names in that top 10, they're all big hitter names, but the issue is there's still one more match to be played out, and literally anything can happen in one match. A drop spot can get changed, an unlucky contestation, but all you need to do is maintain your spot if you're in that top 10, and if in the contrary, you're at the lower half of the leaderboard, you have to play for that win, and it all comes down to this, Taco.
And this is the final moment. Players do not want to leave it up to that last chance qualifier to try and find that seat on the battle bus, because as we all know, Major 3 Grand Finals, Takata, that is the last opportunity to seal your fate at the Global Championship. So our final match of the day here for Group 1 underway.
We have our leaders from the play-ins for Doxy, Pablo, Chino in the top 7. Pablo did an amazing job with some solo clutches early on, but in this final match, we want to see the whole trio playing it well. Refsguard, who's fighting for this qualification with Momsy and Skyjump. I mean, Refsguard back-to-back not qualifying by 1 place on the leaderboard in the last 2 majors has been devastating, even caused him to take a quick mental break and reset. So hopefully now we can see that trio perform in this last match and book themselves a spot in the finals. Thomas HD as well is literally the cutoff for that top 10. It's getting stressful.
Stressful for these teams just trying to fly into Utopia. They're already getting lit up by other members of the lobby. I got to land a little bit sooner. Hizix, having taken that early damage, it's gonna force him to play back for a moment, even if he has a weapon. Start trying to get a little bit proactive here, but this could be disastrous. Skyjump, Refsguard, all he has is a DMR, and Skies is so healthy. They are just completely sliding by.
There's no way.
Skyjump, there is no way. I just witnessed that in 4K evidence. Is he invisible? Is he just like invisible to everybody else? Refsguard need that superpower. Okay,
I swear I saw him turn around twice. Oh, this is devastating for Refsguard, Momsy, and Skyjump. The back-to-back 1 placements off qualifying, and now in the final match of the day after having won most of the previous early games. Skyjump's left alone. A potential other trio is going to take them out. 153 points is where they will end. The cutoff right now is 146. I don't know, Taco. That is a little too close.
It's a bit sickening. I'm gonna keep it so real with you, Takata. It's a little bit sick to the stomach to witness that. go down, but it's not completely over just yet. Right now, they are just at the mercy of the performance of the rest of the lobby. Their best case scenario even would be one of those top consistency contenders right now on the leaderboard to find a victory royale in this match to just boost them a little bit further up from where they last stood before we entered this match. Howley, Dandy Buzo, and Hizix in a very similar fate right now to Refscar's team.
If that
though,
team made it by
these
one play,
leading members
then I feel so
of the leaderboard just having these
two
early
up
spills.
made it by one.
It's just so detrimental to their overall game plan.
Yeah, I mean, Howley's literally number 11 right now with this trio. They're one spot off qualifying currently. So if they go down, it's 100% done for them for this group stage at least. Rick, Borcade, Guden. They're looking for a bit of action.
And they've definitely found it. Wyver from underneath. Cade still looking to try and make the approach, but no gaps just yet. Cade not even recognizing the fact that he's stumbling over Wyver inside of that cone. Might have caught a glimpse just then when Wyver chose to escape, but Wyver is out for the time being. Rickborg Gudenbri, though, now looking to make the collapse. Timo from behind just never had a chance to properly recover there. And this is a fast collapse, but Cade still trying to be careful on the approach. Will finally get a chance to tackle Wyver, and that is a nice three-piece elim opener. And they're not the only ones looking to get the job done there.
Good start. It's now Saren, pumped power. A lot of trios like to play it slow in these moments to kind of pick off an unsuspecting player that's just going through his regular loop path, especially if you kind of put in the work beforehand. A lot of players tend to have habits in their loop path, whether it be like a key part of their drop spot, and being able to kind of wait for one of those paths to actually happen, being there before them. It's a good time to pick up a quick sneaky elimination. Poor Hawa now looking to see to make that happen with the bush. Will they go for those slurp barrels as it could lead to their demise?
It's just so enticing every time. Trap set and bait fully taken there. Kaisers for Hala Masiak with that opening elim. They just want to find the rest of it. Tex come through though with a heavy shot. Masiak will get knocked, but Faded having been eliminated too, that's just going to leave it down to Tex to try and recover. But for Hala, from a separate side, Tex is not going down without a fight here. And for Hala, he's going to have to work for it, but he will eventually find that final elimination. They'll opt for the double revive play.
That's what they needed, though. They got it. Quick 3 eliminations, ready to play out this last match. Quicks now not looking the best in terms of points, but all it takes is one win. That's what you love about these group stage formats. Even if you had a terrible initial start of the tournament, you could literally make it all up in the last match by winning the game.
We've seen how impactful positioning too can be. I mean, even for Doxy in that last lobby, right, was able to just get so many points hanging out overhead from where everybody else was at. But Sky, Squirrel, Thomas, they know they've still got their work cut out for them. 10th place on the leaderboard heading into this final lobby, and they don't want to leave it up to somebody else to determine their fate. Thomas, Sky, Squirrel, they want this battle here at Utopia to go their way. And Relvis, he gets knocked here. That's going to be a huge opportunity for Thomas's team to just immediately swing through. But Fieden still doing what he can to try and push them back, not wanting to just roll over and give up their current location inside of Utopia.
That's what I love about experienced trios like Thomas, Sky, and Skrull is even if they're literally the cutoff of qualifying, and if they go down early, they wouldn't qualify, they're still not scared to look for those fights early on, and you know, those key aspects of being able to kind of withstand the early game. They'll look for that damage, they'll look for those eliminations, even if it causes a bit of risk. They're just so confident in each other.
Might also just be a little bit of PTSD there for Thomas too, the amount of times that he's been 1 point off of something. So every point he would know better than anyone in this lobby matters, especially most in these final moments here. But for Doxy, Chino, Pablo, Wingu, they had the big performance that everybody had been anticipating. better late than never after all, but ideally they cement their spot on the battle bus with this final lobby.
Crazy how much pistol damage Doxy has. I wonder why that is compared to all the other players.
He's so good with those kill switch revolvers. It's nasty. He's got like so many clips too. It's definitely fun to watch, but he has a great understanding, I think, of the range as well as just a strong aimer.
Hopefully we can see that happen in the last match, as they are very close to being in qualifying range. I mean, they just need a few points to secure it. Shark, Blaha, and Comeback, on the other hand, need a bit more to be happy with it, so making it to late game is a must for this trio.
This is a pretty crazy look by Pump Power, though, and this is also just the direct result of Wheaton, Afrizi, and Sened qualling from their win in the last lobby. So many other teams now looking to see if they can repeat that success from this location, but even rolling around looking for those third parties, and Shark had no chance to try and close that wall off. Now it's down to Comeback and Blaha, but they don't want to fight. You lose your primary fragger, you immediately try to disengage. Blaha might not be able to follow suit though. Owl just trying to cut him off in the process, and Blaha will be forced to box. Take a moment here. Snozy low enough though that Blaha will manage to at least create a little bit of space here, but look who's rolling up to this area now. Pablo Wingu and Doxy's team. Blaha and Comic won't have any other choice but to bail as deep into zone or storm as they can.
Yeah, it's a good disengagement from Blaha and Comeback. Even though they were able to get a good amount of damage disengaging, they still chose to keep running. They want to play it extra safe here. Bring Shark back into the game. Blaha's gonna have to pick up his teammate now. No whites, but I think there is a vending here, so yeah, they will be able to hopefully heal up a little bit, not get a med kit. Look at the other duo though, close by, or even a full trio.
Think about how much time has been spent now for Blaha and Comeback throughout the course of this whole process. Even with Blaha finding this revive onto Comebacks, if they look to play for the reboot with Shark, it's all going to be them having to focus on just putting those folks back into a steady position. And Klitschko's trio, they might not even allow that opportunity. Comeback, Blaha immediately looking to separate. They could tell there's no way that they can go back now. But Wed, Craig, Klitschko, they might just choose to trail them.
Stop the play. We can see how they were able to kickstart this with the quick E-limp as Rax, Belusi, and Zangi. Don't want to take any risks at 135 points currently. It's difficult when you're in that position, when you're like barely outside of qualifying range and you know all you have to do is make it to the late game and pick up a few eliminations. Oof, so much potential for danger in this last zone with where it's pulling towards.
Easily, but Rax, Belusi, and Zangi seem like they've got some kind of plan figured out here. They're just going to choose to wrap all the way around Outlaw Oasis, kind of using this natural mountain coverage. Makes sense. Don't want to get lit up by teams that are already in those elevated positions inside of the actual zone. Kaisers, Perhala, and Maciak, though. They got scrappy earlier on. Even with those 3 eliminations, they still find themselves kind of getting stuck in some of these long-range battles. But it's all for a good cause. They want to prevent anybody else from kind of challenging their elevated position.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be a little slow from here on out. You can see 65 players left. At this point, a lot of the ones that really needed something big at the start of the game have kind of risked it to play aggressive, and either they got those picks or didn't quite go their way. Storm Surge isn't going to hit as hard as it has in all the previous matches. And players like Thomas, Sky, and Scroll that are literally the cutoff of qualifying have their eyes on the later half of this match. And with having qualified for 23 out of 26 FNCS finals, Thomas HD not only qualifying, but being what we say the most successful player to have yet not won an FNCS. seeing him not qualify today would be devastating. Levin said it. Don't even think about that possibility yet. Let's see how this game plays out. As for Doxy, Chino, and Pablo are finding a way to put themselves back in.
For Doxy, Chino, and Pablo, already know that sure we can try to run this one down, but it's also registered for them that a siphon could be a great way. They have med miss to play with, though, so they're not really pressed for time here by any means. They're just kind of trying to keep track of that team on the low ground. But what I really wanted to revisit here, Takata, is that we have teams that are obviously outside. Dan DiPuzzo knocked yet again. Howley cannot catch a break. Hizix, Dan DiPuzzo, and Howley have definitely been getting active, though. 3 elims there for Dan DiPuzzo. The fact that they were even brought back in, they have been clawing their way through the dirt here. Shark and Blaha hoping that they can play off of this reboot, but this might be a devastating result here. Once that double revive comes through, Hizix, Dan DiPuzzo, Howley, they're on the move. They've got the audio cue. No, it's been confirmed, but now Shark, he's gonna get picked apart here. Combeck barely gets the chance to land, and it's no good. Only Blaha left standing here. Howley still leading the charge. Doesn't even care that he's nearly lost every single bit of his shield. He knows he's got the numbers advantage here, but Dan DiPuzzo, Howley, they need to find this final elimination. They're gonna play spoiler here for Blaha if they do, but this could be the moment to determine how the rest of this match goes, how the leaderboard shapes up for them too. Blaha gonna dash in. Bigger shot onto Howley, but he can't finish. And Howley holds his own.
We may be up. No
this is
top.
everything you could have possibly asked for if you were in Dan DiPuzzo's position, but you have to feel for Shark, Blaha, and Combeck.
Needed a big pump. I think he was, what, 5,
people
7, maybe 10 damage away from getting the knock. And if he had that, it would have been a high potential to clutch it out. But nice attempt overall as we switch over to Chino, Doxy, and Pablo, who are also trying to play for the qualification here. It's difficult to know what the cutoff is going to be. It literally could be 168. It could be 200. Could be 210. It really depends on who performs in this last match, who qualifies through that victory royale. But what you have to have on your mind is just perform the best you possibly can, and whatever happens, happens.
But for these teams that are kind of two things, Takata, like the teams that are just outside of that top 5 consistency on the leaderboard, and then also the teams that know they have 0 chance of getting into that position on the leaderboard. They've got to just play for the win. What do you think would be the biggest determining factor, just from what we've seen here today, for one of those teams to try and get that final hour victory royale?
It's take risks. A lot of those risks, you know, you don't want to take when you're playing for consistency, because obviously it increases your odds of getting eliminated early on. But if you want the win and you want your odds to be higher for that win, you need to have mobility. You need the miss form. You need as many dashes as possible. You need a good amount of materials, a good amount of loot. And for that, you might have to take fights. You might have to go for those eliminations and not just, you know, do a bit of damage here and there. And being able to not only take those risks, but come out on top, have a good amount of loot, and set yourself up in the later half of that mid game to then take the risk once again playing for high ground. It's not easy, but it's what you have to do.
Taking a shot on yourself. But when it matters most, all these players know, especially if you want to be a contender in that grand finals lobby, you just have to find it, dig deep. But for right now, Trulex, Teeny, Sveen, they've had a very consistent day. And I think that that's really all they're looking to replicate at this point, Takata. Just spraying teams, making their approach from the back of this edge of zone, doing a lot of good work even at holding some of these teams. I'm sure their surge has got to be looking healthy, and I know one thing that kind of dragged on them in that last lobby was they were having some issues with just being barely above that surge threshold. So it forced them to maybe play inside of the low ground for probably a little bit longer than they were hoping for. But I do think it's interesting that today we have seen wins being forged both from low and high ground.
Yeah, well, luckily enough for this last match, they shouldn't have much to worry about with the zone pull that they just got. Dead center in an elevated position. Now they'll have more than enough option to these players around them. rotating on in. Kovacs, on the other hand, 93 points. It's gonna need to be a big one. Maybe a second place with enough eliminations, but you know they kind of have to go all or nothing here.
You still got to build those points off the eliminations. Still got to deal with teams boxed in those elevated positions too. It's not going to be easy to move through this landscape. And sure enough, Kovacs already eating a handful of tags there. Force the pause, use up one of those shield potions. They do at least have those dash sprite charges to work with, so that could definitely help them cut towards the front side, but it looks like their intentions are definitely to try and stick to low.
If you're Sky Scroll and Thomas, I'd be feeling pretty good right now. You just cannot make any grave mistakes. And with the experience this trio has, I'm not really too worried about it, to be fair. Play it by the book here. They don't even need a win. They just need to get a decent placement in this final match, and hopefully none of the trios that are kind of way down below make that risky play that we were talking about previously onto Thomas, Sky, and Scroll.
It's just interesting to see all the different points of elevation that some of these teams are kind of getting stuck inside of. Howley looking to wrap around this mountain face. He only has one charge left, though, in the mist form. Takada losing that mobility. If they're not able to find a dash right or some other form of movement, things could get very problematic. And considering how far they've come,
okay, good. No,
after that start, Takada, it is incredible. Surely they've got to have a little bit of momentum working in their favor.
Surely, right? As I might have spoke too soon. Thomas was cracked, but doesn't seem to be too much of an issue so far. It's almost okay for them to use a bit of extra mobility when they get kind of an unfortunate zone pull like this one. Literally opposite side of the map from where they were based up, so even if they use a lot of the mobility, their goal doesn't necessarily have to be to win this game. It's use all their materials, use all their heals, and get as far as they can with that.
You want to talk about materials? Howley, his extended Puzo, they are suffering currently. They're going to run smack dab into another team, also dealing with firepower. Shots coming out of Perhawa across the water here. Howley, his extended Puzo, though. They've just got to close in on these eliminations. They need the refreshes desperately. They're also below on the damage threshold. Big connection, though, out of Howley. There's going to be a slight difference maker here. 12 above now, so at least won't have to deal with the surge ticks between himself and Dandapuzo, but losing Hizix, now a duo, and they still need a strong finish here if they want to find themselves confirmed, but it's just all falling apart. Dandapuzo now trying to break through this last line of defense into the edge of zone, but hardly any material to work with, breaking over the water. He's having to expend so much of his mats already, and he just can't get inside. Craig immediately forcing them back, and that might just be the end of their run here.
Yeah, getting tagged by, without having shield, it kind of shows that white tag to your opponent saying, you know what, come fight me. I have no shield right now. You probably have the advantage. And that's exactly what ended up happening. Thomas, though, was able to pick up quick elimination. 155, so they're still probably now even below that cutoff potentially with these other players that have been securing a good amount of eliminations, but this is where the pressure's on. This is where all these trios have to make it count. For Hawa, they have to recuperate a bit of that shield, but still looking healthy enough.
But they've been sticking to that low ground. Surely probably gonna also try and take notice of a team if they do look to base up on height. Maybe look for a later height take, but I want to talk about height. It's all Sky, Scroll, and Thomas HD. They are investing so much material, and for good reason. Very favorable zone pool for right now. It's going to give them a good leverage on the rest of this lobby. Continuing with that medallion, though. Dashing through. Goes by pretty much unnoticed here. And frontside low is now going to be Trulex, but Chino, Prodoxy, Pablo, they might have something to say. Unfortunately, they got to deal with the rest of the lobby first.
This is not a lobby you want to deal with. 274 above is the good news, though, so they don't have to aggressively look for tags. But if the opportunity presents itself, why not capitalize on it? Issue is, like you mentioned, Taco, 7 builds. Depending on where this zone pulls, they might have to kind of make that risky play, but this is not a position where you want to take risks. Getting ahead quickly here and having your opponents rotate towards you would be ideal.
They're at least getting some good tags. They can tell that there's definitely some issues brewing for those teams a little bit further east from where they were at, but Sky, Scroll, Thomas stuck inside secondary height for right now. Certainly seeming to have intentions to go back to their height control, but until then, Mithrofan, Chuck, Azat, they'll be the ones looking to spray down. And Pablo Chino still inside of the low, but under so much risk. Hottie just runs smack dab into Pablo Wingo's shotgun, though. That is a big pickup here for Prodoxy and Chino. The refresh they all needed.
Massive pump, putting them back in the game now. Able to recuperate those dashes, able to heal themselves back up. All they have to do is continue playing ahead. 189 points. Where will the cutoff end? Is now up above. High ground continuing to be uncontested. Kaiser's doing what he can to push themselves up that leaderboard. 177 might not be enough. They still have to get the job done.
It might boil down to a difference of elimination points here. Sky, Scroll, Thomas, all they want is the front side. And they'll deal with the rest after the fact. But Sky continuing to tarp out a little bit here. Teeny's feed, True Legs, they've definitely been focused. And Teeny is just gonna sit inside, wait for his teammates to provide opportunity to break out. Azan and Chuck now, though, just looking for a double revive. It's late, but they're gonna get away with it because nobody else is up here on height to do anything about it.
This is actually huge for them. They need the win if they want to end up qualifying, and they're getting closer and closer. The issue is now is going to be the time where these trios that are second height start to kind of look up and say, is there a possible retake in our grasp? As Pablo, Fred, and Chino trying to get into the 200-point range. They're gonna use the bird to get up ahead, but the issue is so many players are out of match, so many players are falling down low, but Pablo, he does not care. He picks up another huge elimination coming through as they continue to power on through.
Thomas just got the rank up, but it doesn't matter. We'll have to wait and see whether or not they were able to clutch up enough points to keep themselves inside the consistency, but Pablo, Fordoxy, Chino, they're just breaking through these low ground pre-existing builds. Gonna shift up one layer, and now Fordoxy, Chino, and Pablo, they're looking to pick apart some of this mid-section. Teeny's feet and True Legs, though, happily still in control of front side. They're gonna tank a little bit of the Storm Ticks even just to make sure that they have the optimal positioning. And Pablo has a solo from behind. Sees Zangi, can't spot out Sure, running around is just vision so limited inside of that med mist. And all of these players way more fixated on just getting into zone.
Pablo, the MVP of the trio today. He's clutched out so many points as a solo, and now in the final match, looking to do it once again. Show us why you deserve this qualification. Ends up going down. They got more than 200 points as Giras, Dynus, and Frantic, they took height.
Hawa wasn't able to stick it out on the low ground. Sangild, Loki, QB inside the secondary height now. This could be a real shining opportunity here. But they are low on material. They have to hope that the lobby continues to thin itself out. But with Frenek and Venus up above, it's going to be very difficult for these teams on low if they don't have builds to work with. Team on high could just completely take advantage of it, but Sangil, Loki, QB, they're trying to get involved. It's True Legs just in front on the low, and they can't get through the builds. They're forced to use the misform early, and that's gonna leave them so exposed to Teeny coming through with big pump shots.
A full healthy trio down below. Sangild goes down. Looks like it's gonna be a 3 versus 3 height versus low. As Frenek, Giras, and Dynus, they go down. Dynus with a big elimination now. All that's left is the full trio. Teeny gets cracked. One more shot needed to connect. Don't miss. He gets it now. The 2 versus 1. The mist form being used. The escape route coming through, trying to block the siphon from Skivi. He does not want to let him get more HP. And that might be all that it takes to take this home as Truelex is left in the heal off, uses that mist form to not take storm damage, and now with a double chug, it's a heal game for this last match of Group 1.
But what does Gittes have to work with? He's still got that med kit. 40 left in the chug jug.
Yeah.
This form
14,
still able to be used too.
away.
Truelex, he's running out of time and he knows it. Gittes and Truelex popping these chug jugs at basically the exact same moment, but it's Gittes who's running out of HP first. Truelex is Misfirm
Who's the
getting that
fuck made
refresh
it?
back online, and he's able to close it out. But Takada, I'm thinking about the implications right now for the leaderboard, because we saw so many of our teams just on the cusp, and with a team that was already leading in consistency, now finding a victory royale in our final lobby, that might just save a couple others down below.
I'm getting nervous. Taco. Look, the first and second place trio, Gearhouse's trio, Teeny's trio, they were already in the top of the standings in terms of consistency. So they showed why that was with how consistent they just played in this last match. But
no one
I'm
cares,
thinking in
so
the back of my
who
head,
made it.
did Thomas make it? Did all these players, did Fordoxy make it? Did these players that were on that borderline make it? We'll focus on Truelex, ended up clutching it up. Mist form put into play, doing a perfect example of how you want to play heal off in this current meta, making use of not only the heals, but also that invincibility from the mist form. But I know everybody watching wants to know what happened, who qualified through consistency. It has been a pleasure commentating this initial group. We still have 2 more groups to go, but that's going to be it for Taco and myself on the casting booth for now. We'll be back for Group 2 and 3, but we have to close this out on the desk. So Frankie, Levin, Mini, take it away.
Thank you so much to Carter and Taco. I don't know how you're holding
Apart
it together
from
in
that
that end game there,
debate,
because I was
so
just
what?
racking my brain going, okay, right, who's still in the top 10, who's just outside the top 10? Obviously, you want someone who is in that top 10 to get that victory royale, right? And of course, it went the way of Trulex's trio, a trio that actually, in the pre-show today, we had the biggest doubts about. They scraped through into the group stage, 97th in the play-ins, Levin. But now they're clearly a team that can pull things together when it matters most.
Look, barely made it in, barely make it out. I mean, it is the runaway job, Mini Miner, for these boys, but they will absolutely take it.
Yeah, they'll be happy with this. All that matters is getting there. And as we spoke about at the beginning of the show, these guys have so much talent. They have so much ability within the team that they can pop off when it comes to these major finals. When it comes to lands, they can do what it takes to perform well. And it's just about getting there. For Truelex, it couldn't have ended in a more sort of fitting way for him. We know him as the sort of heal-off king when it comes to the medkit specifically. And he showed us yet again what he can do when it comes to those situations.
I mean, really nice way to wrap up the day for that team. Again, they have plenty to work on going into the major finals. Groups are always a different beast, but to make it out, decent performances, quite consistent on the day as well at times. I think they'll be happy with the result today.
Let's take a look at the 5 teams who did book themselves a spot in the Major 3 finals via a victory royale. Obviously, we've just seen our 5th team to win, Truelex, Teeny, and Scree. But if you cast your minds back to the beginning of the show, Vanya, Marius, and Pixie, it was just a textbook classic game from those guys, Levin.
Yeah, really well played. Honestly, I almost forgot they played in this lobby, man. They did it so quickly. They were in and out, and now we're probably just not even going to have a chance to watch them play or do anything now until grand finals. But it's fine. They're going to be a major force. They are reigning champs for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
We know exactly what to expect from them, Mini. That's the thing. But Vidil, Cringe, and Volko, we were not so sure going into this one, given Vidil's shock departure from Savage and Reason last season.
Yeah, I was going to say, really impressed with how these guys played actually today. You know, we had a few questions going into it. I know I had a few questions about how they were going to play, how they were going to approach the games, and they seemed to be really comfortable down there on low ground, finding eliminations, finding frags. It looked like a solid, proper team. So really excited to see what these guys can do come the major finals.
It's also really exciting to see this format reward some of those teams who just find that kind of lightning bolt that they need in game. So Hyper, Ghost, and Jewel, they took our 3rd game of the day. And yes, Levin, you say that this is a team of players who've been playing a long time, but they don't necessarily have that much major finals experience. Now we're going to get to see what they can do in a fully stacked lobby in a couple of weeks' time. However, who else is going to be joining them there? We're ready to take a look at our consistency leaderboard and find out the other 5 trios to qualify.
No Tomit. Oh my god.
For Doxy, Pablo, Ringo, and Tino, they just managed to pull things off in the end because it actually looked kind of tough for them. Gyrus, Frenek, Dinas, we're expecting that consistency. But if you cast your eyes down to the 5th place, Loki, Sangild, and Raw just about managed to clutch
How
it mini
much?
minor, and it means that there are some big names missing
Tomit
out.
mid one game.
Yeah, there's one big name missing out. It's Thomas
Tomit
AC,
only
man.
played
It's Thomas
4 games
AC
today.
not quite making it happen. I mean, you look at a leaderboard like that, and you usually look at the top. You're like, oh, who's down the? I was looking right at the bottom. I was looking at that 5th place spot. Was it going to contain Thomas, Sky, and Scroll? It doesn't. They're going to have to do it through the last chance qualifier. Not ideal situation for them. So yeah, really unfortunate.
Levin, you can take a look at their games, though. You can see what they need to work on, and there is the last chance qualifier coming up in a couple of weeks. So that's something we fully expect them to do well in, although there are going to definitely be some big names that they're up against for those last 3 spots.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, this team is more than good enough to be in the major finals. You know,
Only played
it's a tough situation for them. They absolutely should be there. Bit unlucky on the day, and then you know
Unlucky,
it
yeah,
happens.
because
But I
only
have no
played
doubts
4th day.
there'll be a team that really pushes in that last chance qualifier.
It's just really unfortunate that it's 11th. It's just one place again, but let's move on and just talk a bit more about the teams that have made it today as well. Prajawa, Kaiser, and Machek, they had some fantastic games, a couple of unlucky moments, but are you excited about the potential for this trio going into that final, Mini?
Yeah, super excited. They had a couple of wobbles during this tournament, but they made it count there in that last game. So, you know, they're a team that can clutch up. Seemingly, they have the potential for it. So, intrigued as to what those guys can do when it comes to the major finals as well.
And we mentioned Gyrus' trio with Frenak and Dinas. We were expecting those guys to do well, given that these guys have got so much experience of doing well in the group stage, consistency-wise. Are they a trio, though, that you can see wielding the blade of champions at the end of Major 3-11?
Not right now. Not right now. But look, these guys are in a good spot. I feel like they are sort of what Gyrus has been for a couple of years now. They're sort of the furniture of the lobby. You know what you're going to get out of them. They're a top team who will make it to major finals consistently. It's just about, you know, the right things working themselves out in a season that maybe give them that push to qualify for the global championships. I think that's the goal for them.
Yeah,
Can I draw your... Oh, yes. No, sorry, please go ahead, Mini.
What I love about these guys, of course, they got together last major, and in major number 1, Giras was actually coaching Dinas and Frenek, so he actually decided to come on into the team. It developed a lot last major. They performed pretty well as well, and it just seems like this team are on that sort of upward trajectory. So to sort of give my take on it, I don't think they're necessarily a team that can win an FNCS yet, but don't be surprised if we see it maybe in a couple of years' time.
I'm sure we'll talk about it when we come to the finals, but also Rax, Belusi, and Zangi. I didn't know that this was a trio that existed prior to the play-ins. I was interviewing Yanis, who Rax had been practicing with and playing performance evaluations with, and suddenly he's playing with Noah Riley again, who he played with in Major 1, and Rax is with this trio. So it's brilliant to see them doing so well. I'm going to go off and do a bit of nerdy research and find out more about how this trio has come together and done it so quickly. But in the meantime, I want you guys in the chat and watching around the world to let us know your predictions. Reach out. Who do you think is going to be seeing all of our qualified teams in the Major 3 finals? We have groups 2 and 3 coming up next weekend. And of course, tonight, we've got the North American action. Yes, Zeke will be geeking with the gang. So please do keep it locked here. They'll be here in a net for a couple of hours. Levin and Minnie, thank you very much for being brilliant. And thank you for putting up with me. That's not just to those guys, that's you as well. We'll see you later, but stick around, as I said, for North America.